Okay, so we're at the end of the laneway and of Sudan Lane, and as you can see, it turns into pretty much nothing. There's no roadway past this. This is part way into the property that's for sale, or maybe a fair ways into it. My friend Herb is saying that there's a lot of land in here where, because of the way it dips here before the other rock down to the water, that a lot of this could be used for building. You might need to bring in fill for a septic if you don't have a sufficient depth. But this, by the way, is a piece of road making equipment with a hefty blade on it, and I guess it got left here, but that would belong to the municipality. It's still on the roadway. So we were just sampling sheep sorrel, which he uses in his cooking. And we're going to go back to do one transit down to the water so that you'll get an idea of the depth of the lot. Okay, looking back down the laneway, again, the gravel's all there for the culvert and everything else, but the road would need to be improved for your year-round home. I'm going to do a transit now, head over towards the rocks and then down towards the waterfront. This will give you an idea. Maybe you can count my steps to see how far it is from that laneway down to the water. But I understand there's no problem with finding a nice private spot in here to build, and also Herb says it should be fine for the septic system. Okay, that's nice. You see that in the North Country more, lichen on top of the rock faces. A soft carpet. Okay, and up here, just looking around, I don't know, it might even be interesting if that's 100 feet down to the water. It'd be interesting to have this view up here as well. Just looking around. Maybe you could build a house on the rock and then aim the septic back towards the road. Okay, down a little further. Okay, so all of this will be on the property as well. You can see that it'd be easy to make a walkway down there and set a dock out there or down here further. I know that you mentioned before that you'd been on a property similar to this with a steep fall to the water at a time that was significant for you. Looking up here, I'm seeing a lot of sand. That's something you want to see when you when you're thinking about septic systems. Great percolation through that. Okay, let's walk down a little further and get to the water itself. All kinds of little oak trees and such growing here. Okay, well that's where I think I'd be putting a little beach in for the grandkids. I don't know if I can show it to you, but right down there, let's see if you can see the water. Now it doesn't show very well on this camera, but between just over there a bit, I can see a sandy area. No. Anyway, there is a sandy area down there, a nice little beach area for the kids. And again, there's no problem with privacy when you got over 1,000 feet of waterfront. That's really quite spectacular. Okay, just learning a little bit more about the boundaries. We see a orange marker in the tree there, so that's likely a stake underneath it. That would likely be the beginning of the part that's sold. So it wouldn't start exactly at the culvert, but starts very quickly after it. So let's see, I'm thinking maybe about 90 feet from the culvert would be the beginning of the property line. Okay, we're heading out on Echo Lake, courtesy of Mr. Herb Pillis. And we're leaving, what's your number, 1379 or something? 1139. And going down the waterfront to get towards the part that's for sale. Absolutely clear water. It's beautiful.
Hi, Sandy.
So what we're looking now is one for sale by Property Guys, and we could check that out for you. My understanding is it's been for sale for about 5 years and that it's overpriced. One of the things that Herb has pointed out to us is that the foundations are already there, just a few feet from the shoreline. Now any new construction is going to have to be backed by 100 feet. So if you wanted to build on top of that foundation, you might be able to get away with it, whereas you couldn't get that close to the water anywhere else. Okay, the dock there on the shore is belongs to one of the properties owned by another friend. Oh, excuse me, this one does. Sorry, this dock belongs to a person who's also a friend, and then there's one more building past that, and that's the one with the double flags there. And then all of the shoreline past that, where you see the, just try to zoom in on it, where you see all that driftwood, that's the dividing line on the property. And the shoreline that's for sale goes basically 1,080 feet up there and around that corner. The view would be fabulous from here, sunsets.
Trees there where that embankment is, so that's where the creek comes in, right here, and then the property starts here somewhere.
Okay, just saying that the septic system apparently could have gone in up at a certain point up on that hill. And as I look at the waterfront, it rises fairly quickly, but it's certainly great for having a place to put a dock and also to be able to pull it out in the wintertime, which you can't do in all places that have very, very steep shorelines. Saw a couple of loons out on the bay as well. It's very nice. We're coming to the bend now, so the property would run right along here as well. Beautiful white pines. So there's the fallen tree down by the waterfront, and there's a tree right beside it. Let's see, this one right here, and it has a piece of tape marking it, so that would be the end of the property there. We're around the corner, and this would be the view from the end of the property. Finished our nice little paddle out on the lake. Saw a couple of loons, kingfisher, great blue heron, lots of wildlife out there. And so this is pretty typical of what the waterfront looks like. And I'm just going to show you the depth of the property by climbing up our friend's place here. It looks like the distance between the laneway and the water is about the same in most places, but they say that at their place the laneway actually overrides their land a little bit, so this is not as deep as some of the others. Let's see. So we'll head up here. There's a little bunkie or something that they have there. There's the water. And we'll keep going on the path here. So when you're looking at the survey, of course, I think I mentioned that already, the measurements are in meters, not in feet. So there actually is a fair bit of land here to build on. And again, the lot that's for sale has already been approved in terms of a septic system. Very important in land like this is you can imagine looking around in here and trying to find a spot that has soil deep enough, 4 feet of soil minimum, in order to do a septic. Okay, I'll keep going. Lake back there. We're heading up. That's my wife with my friend Herb. Anyway, his opinion was that there's no problem with the depth of the lots between the laneway and the lake. And there are, as I said, at least 3 permanent homes on this lane now. So the laneway, I should mention, when we came in, I'm hoping to show you some clips of the quality of the roads. When you get up to this, it's a private lane, but you're only in about 0.8 kilometers, so 0.8 of a kilometer, when you get to the land that's for sale. I better turn this off and catch up with them. This is the other property that's for sale from the roadway. It looks like there's a lane leading into it, and again, that's the one that has a small cottage on it. So you might be able to rebuild exactly on the footprint of the cottage. Unusual nowadays because you always have to stay back 100 feet. On the other hand, I have to look up the details. Apparently it's quite expensive and it's been for sale for about 5 years with no takers. We're walking the laneway here, and this is, as far as we've come, the last home, and this would be on part 1 of that survey. So the last home before the part that's for sale is right here. And since nothing has been developed, there is a road allowance up here for the lane, but basically it's overgrown and not in use. So part of the work involved in getting the land ready for your own use would be over time to develop that laneway a bit and get into the property. So it looks like this right now. I'm just going to see if there's any trace of gravel beyond all these weeds. Okay, so there is definitely a lane here that's been used at some point. I can see some gravel in there mixed in with the soil, but it's not maintained to the level where you could have a full-time year-round house here right now. These are the folks who have the listing, and we'll just keep going. So I understand that there's a bit of a creek or a waterfall up here. My wife and Herb have reached there already. And that would be the actual starting point of the property for sale. So at this section here is basically their backyard. And then when you get down there to the culvert, that's where the land would begin. It's fairly dramatic. So the road must have been used at some point, or they wouldn't have spent all this money on the culvert. Look at the rocks over there.
Yeah, you can see it on this side.
This goes right down to the lake. Okay. On the other side there's a marsh. And the causeway looks quite good and sturdy. Just do a panorama. Now we've come into the property ways past that culvert. Again, compared to other properties I've seen, this one is really exceptional for the amount of waterfront you're talking about. I think they said about 1,080 feet of water frontage.